In this video it comes in silver, it comes in black, and it comes looking like a turd. What? Sand coloured, not turd coloured. And it comes looking like sand. Let's have a look at the OM5 Mark II. Roll titles. Hi YouTube, Brian James once again, I'm Mega 4/3 guy, and the OM5 Mark II has been released now. I've tried this video a couple of times, and every time I try it I get confused between EM5, OM5, Mark I, Mark II, Mark III. We're talking in this video primarily about the OM5 Mark II, which has been released to a big fanfare of all sorts of things, and it comes in sand colour as a special limited edition. Special limited gimmick. Never mind. Let's have a little look at it. I've not had my hands on this camera. I have no intention to get my hands on this camera. And I may tell you about something more about what my chain of thoughts is, rather than necessarily reviewing the camera. I've looked at a few reviews, predominantly the Petapixel one with Chris, because Chris is always really good. I love his enthusiasm. I love the way he presents. So I'm taking my opinion off a few of the sort of pundits that I've seen today, but I'm looking at it. People say, well, how can you judge something when you haven't played with it? How can you judge something when you haven't had it in your hand? I can judge these things because to spend £1,200 of my hard-earned money on something, I'm going to make some opinions on what I've seen already and what my general feelings is about it. So let's have a look at that. So let's see what's new and good on this camera. Well, he says, try not to be too cynical. Come on, Brian, don't be too cynical. Right, what's new and good on this camera? First of all, it's got a USB-C port. Big tick. Needs a USB-C port because everything needs a USB-C port these days to keep up. Is that because they really want to give you a USB-C port? No, it's not. It's because the European Union has mandated that all electronic goods which are charged up and which have connections like that should be using a USB-C. So to actually get around the CE regulations for a huge area of the market, the European continent, then everything has to have a USB-C port on. So it's not OM system being particularly fantastic about that. It's the fact they have to do that for compliance, and you know it's easier to do it on a new model release. You get a double whammy. It's got a CP button. CP button. Yes, computational photography button. Where it used to have the exposure compensation button, it's now got a CP button. But since these buttons are assignable anyway, it's a change of a bit of writing on the top. It's got a slightly bigger grip. I do like that. That's good. This is over the the OM5 Mark I, by the way. And I'll come back to why that's important in a second. And it also has a night vision mode where basically it boosts it up so you can focus on some of the things which are a bit dark, like stars and things. Now, to me, that's just an electronic boost in signal strength. So, why am I saying this? Why am I not jumping with joy on this? Well, very, very simple. We had a fantastic camera in the EM5 Mark III. I did a review about 3 years ago on one that I borrowed, and I loved the camera. Yes, it gets criticised for being plasticky, but it's a great little camera in what it does. Then we had the OM system come in with the OM5, which had taken over from the EM5 Mark III, which was basically the EM5 Mark III rebadged with a couple of tiny little additions on. You know, you might have the ND filters and things in there, but basically it's EM5 Mark III with a new body, with a new set of clothes on. In fact, not even a new set of clothes, just with a little bit of a different logo and a few bits and pieces. But the EM5 Mark III was such a good general camera, and I'll come back to general in a second, such a good general camera that I thought it was fabulous. And of course, the OM5, the Mark I OM5, because the EM5 Mark III was so good, so was the OM5 Mark I. But now, with two things down the line, And it's still basically, apart from a little bit of a bulge on the hand grip and a few little extra features in what I've already said about renaming buttons and putting a USB-C on, which should have been on in the last version but wasn't. Oh, and a new menu. I forgot about the new menu. It has a new menu. I'll come back to that in a sec. Apart from that, it's an OM5 Mark III. It has the same 20 megapixel sensor, which has been in the range for years. It's got the same display back. It's, you know, the same screen on the back. It's got the same EVF. There's been no real changes as far as I can see over the last 2 iterations to make them any better. Your technology has improved. So, what I said about the new menu. I've got a nice new menu. It matches the OM1. Menus are done in firmware. If the screen on the back is the same, if the EVF is the same, then how you paint those pixels, how you colour those pixels, how you lay them out is a firmware part. It's not a, you know, it's nothing hardware particularly, it's firmware, it's a software which runs it, which on the camera. Why couldn't this have been done on OM5 Mark I when it came out? Why the laziness on this? Because when the OM5 Mark I came out, we already had the OM1, which had that new menu. I feel a little bit deflated on that. The night vision, as I say, is just basically boosting a signal. It's a signal enhancement. You might have a bit of noise reduction on that to try and make it more palatable. But again, to me, that's a firmware or software thing. Now, when I had my G9 Lumix, when I had the G9, I got some major firmware updates over a couple of years. It came out, what, 2018, was it? And we had a couple, maybe 3 or 4 major firmware updates before that camera went out of service. And it was almost like having a new camera each time. With this, you'd have to go out and buy this new camera to get these updates. These should be in the firmware, in my opinion. These should be retro to the previous model, but they're not. So if we're not getting a huge amount on there of updates, well, okay, what is it actually doing? Well, it's got the old sensor, as I say, the 20 megapixel sensor, and I know that, you know, you're not going to get the stacked sensor for this price. That's fair enough. But after all this time with the same 20 megapixel sensor, you'll get people who say, oh, but it's the new version, it's got this, that and the other. They're basically the same. Convince me otherwise. So we've got this old sensor. So your photograph quality is going to be no better. It's got a slow mechanical shutter. This is only 6 frames a second as opposed to the 10 previously, although it does give continuous autofocus on that. And again, I'm taking this straight off the videos I've seen. But 6 frames a second, this is 2025. I was getting better than that in 2018. 7 years ago. Come on, OM system. You've promised us some major things. These are putting a new fresh coat of paint on a wreck. I'm not saying the OM5's a wreck, but you know what I mean. It's like getting an old fence and just put the new coat of paint on since the new fence is not. It's got the old battery. It's got the same batteries in previous models, and it's still got the same UHS1 card slot in there. The UHS1, you've not even got the ability to put the faster cards in, the faster read and write cards, which of course means that you don't have the ability for all the 10-bit video which would go for that. So I'm disappointed. And why I said this is a good general camera is because when you're using it for some of the niche, the specialist parts, and I've just had a very good conversation with a colleague of mine who does an awful lot of bird photography and train photography and things, and he had an OM5, and the reason he got rid of his OM5, the Mark III, the reason he got rid of it was because the auto tracking wasn't good enough. He shoots Sony now. The auto tracking wasn't good enough on the moving objects, and yet I say exactly the same thing being criticised on the videos about the auto track for this camera. You've had so much opportunity to get that right. And Olympus, or OM system as they are now, but Olympus were the leaders in all this when they came out. That original OM5 Mark I, which is the thing which turned me over onto Micro Four Thirds, away from my Canon full frames, which I'd shot professionally on for years, which I trusted implicitly, which I'd earned my fortune on, Fortune, which I'd earned my money on. Well, that was innovation. This camera isn't innovation. It's that thing that it's a marketing ploy. Now, don't get me wrong. If you are somebody who is buying a camera around that price for the first time and you're getting into a system, go out and buy it. It's fabulous. I'm not joking, it is a fabulous general camera. It has some issues if you're going to be doing some of the specialist niche stuff, but as a general photographer want to get a good quality camera, go out and buy it. It's good value for money, it's good camera. It's not, as I was implying before because of the turd colour. The turd colour might be there. Turd for people is feces for those who overseas. So it's got that sort of browny colour, which is a limited edition, which is a marketing ploy. But it's not a turd of a camera. It's a superb camera. And I would recommend it as a first camera to anybody. Would I recommend you go out and get rid of your OM5 Mark 1 and buy this? No, please don't. Please don't. Why spend that money when you're getting so little? Would I recommend for an OM5 Mark 3 user to go out and buy this? No, it's basically the same camera. You're not going to get any better photographs out of it. You might, if you're some of the more extreme niche ones, get some change out of it. You might get a little bit of change on the fancy sort of AI side of things, but you're not going to improve on the picture quality. It's not going to be sharper or anything like that. You know, I don't even think that you're probably going to get any faster, any better high ISO performance. Although I haven't checked those, so don't quote me on that. But you've still got the same inherent problems of the cameras you've had before. So apart from new users, is anybody else that would suggest buying it? Yes. If you're coming from an OM10 or something like that sort of ilk, then obviously it's a good camera to buy because it's still competitive buy. It's a good upgrade. Or if you're somebody who's shot OM5 or OM5 Mark III and you are a high volume shooter and you've basically worn your camera out, then this is the ideal one. Everything's in the same place and it is a damn good camera for you, because if you've been happy with your OM5 Mark III or your OM5 Mark I, you're going to be happy with this. But just don't expect any big whistles and bell changes. Now, I mentioned about my G9 before and about the firmware updates which I got on the G9, which every time I got that, it was like getting a new camera. There were so many big improvements, incredible improvements insofar as the auto tracking, the auto focus, all sorts of things. And I'd always been an Olympus shooter. I'd always preferred the feel of Olympus, but over the time I've become more and more and more taken over by the Lumix cameras. I've only have Lumix out in Cyprus at the moment. My Olympus cameras are at home, or my what would be OM system if I was to buy newer. But I've got them out here. There were, yes, Lumix didn't listen to people for a long time when they wanted the phase detect, but they brought that on the G9 Mark II. Again, a superb camera, and not a huge amount difference in price to this. If you look, it's within a few $100s or a few £100 difference, but a very, very different camera. So I've become disillusioned with the OM system. I've become disillusioned that we're not really getting anything of note, anything of improvement, anything to make me go, cool, I want that. What about you? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what your comments are. Do you think I'm totally wrong? These are my personal comments. These are my personal views. I'm not quoting anybody else's views on this. I'm just picking up what I've picked on the other videos and what I know from shooting these things. But let me know in your comments below. Have I just insulted you because you're an OM fanboy? Or have I just basically cemented what was maybe a lingering feeling in your own mind? Let me know in the comments below. I would also like to thank these wonderful people here, because these wonderful people are here are my Patreon patrons, and they keep the channel going, and I really do appreciate their support and help. And also, if you'd like to do a one-off bit of support and help, either hit the super thanks, which is just below, or if you'd like to buy me a coffee or buy me a beer, I think it is at the minute, because I decided I was going to be a rebel and have a beer instead of a coffee. Mr. McNaughton I'm on to the beers instead of the coffees. Good, I haven't spoken to you for a while. So, if you'd like to buy me a beer or a coffee, there's a link below. But if you just want to type it in, it's buymeacoffee.com/Brian James. Anyway, until the next time, keep on taking your camera out. Keep on having fun with your photography or your videography, whichever you choose. Enjoy your photography. But for me, I'll be sticking with the cameras I've got for now, because I can't justify buying what's already out there. Anyway, till the next time, bye-bye. See you soon.